So we are currently recording. So if you have any privacy concerns, you can definitely feel free to mute your video. But we appreciate your consent in being able to record this session to make it available to students in the future. There's some really exciting content that we're hoping to share with all of you tonight as a part of our fall virtual open house. My name is Joe DiCarlo. I'm the Dean of Enrollment and Director of Admissions here at the university, and I'm happy to sort of moderate the panel tonight with a great group of colleagues who are excited to help you learn more about their areas and how we support students both inside and outside of the classroom. Hopefully you've gotten that sense this evening as you've navigated the event and talked with folks from our academic departments, our honors program, our housing and residence life area, as well as in our admissions and financial aid welcome that kicked off tonight's event. We're going to start off with introductions, and what I'm going to do is rather than having the whole panel go down and do introductions, I think we'll just go by one by one. So what I'll ask is that each panelist, when I call your name, you can go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself and then just provide an introduction and then a brief overview of your office and area and what you do to help support our students here at the university. So I think I'll go ahead and pick on my first friend there. We'll go with John Meany from athletics. So John, why don't you go ahead and get us kicked off tonight?
All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to be part of this event tonight. So my name is John Meany. I work in the Department of Athletics as a Deputy Director of Athletics. And our department does two things. It houses the varsity athletic program. And over the last 4 or 5 years, since we've opened our new wellness center, we've really expanded our recreational offerings. So I'll touch on that in a second. On the athletic side of the house, we sponsor 20 total sports for men and women. That's about 450 student athletes. We have a variety of, we have full and part-time coaches within our department. And, one of the things that we really like about our athletic program is not only our success on the field, but sort of the structure that has allowed our students to succeed between coaches and teammates and the administration. And we have a student support service coordinator who does a great job with study halls. So last year, our entire athletic department GPA was over 3.2. So that's something that we're really proud of. We really try to tout being able to sponsor a complete overall student athlete experience at Worcester State, where the primary goal is for the students to get a great Worcester State education, but to also support that with some of our programming. On the other side of the house is recreation. Years ago, we were in this old 1950s gym and we kind of rolled out the balls for intramurals and we didn't have much else going on. Now we're in this beautiful wellness center. It's over 100,000 square feet and it's got a bunch of different spaces that I'll talk about in a second. But within those spaces, the programming has really become professional. We brought on a dedicated recreation fitness manager, so to speak, when we opened the building, and he's really professionalized that side of the house. So we've got a 9,000 square foot fitness center that has all the latest and greatest technology in terms of fitness equipment. We lease our cardio equipment, so we actually just rolled it over for the first time. So we have brand new stuff so we can stay with the latest and greatest trends. We also sponsor group exercise classes. And the building itself has an indoor track. It's got 2 gyms, a competition gym and a multi-purpose gym. There's a smoothie lounge in the first floor of the wellness center. And I'm missing one thing. Oh, academic classrooms. One of the great things about our space is that it's not the athletic center, it's the wellness center. So it's really diverse in what we offer. So between athletics, recreation, we also have academic classes in our space, which really creates a great environment for us. And the last thing I just want to mention within the recreation side of the house is I mentioned we rolled out the balls for intramurals a number of years ago. Well, now we are a very robust intramural program with a dedicated staff member who runs intramurals, and we host a variety of events, whether they're leagues in basketball and volleyball and flag football, or a bunch of different one-day events. So we're growing, we're still evolving, which is really exciting, but on both sides of the house, we like to think that we offer a very robust program and that we play a big role in sort of the vibe, campus vibe.
Thanks so much, John. That was great. Next up, we're going to have Jillian Anderson from Career Services.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm from Career Services. I'm the director. We are located inside the Student Center on the 3rd floor. A lot of students just walk on by, and we usually have information out for them to grab if they just want to kind of peruse on their own. Then we're also there to answer any questions, make appointments. We do have a lot of items online through our Lancer link, which is our online job and internship database that students, once you become a student of Worcester State, you'll get an ID and a password, and that will let you into that system. That's where you'll find a ton of information with regards to internships, jobs, part-time jobs, seasonal jobs, as well as just resources, whether that's, during this time, how do you do a video interview versus a face-to-face interview? How do you kind of handle some different things when it comes down to deciding your major? What type of minor would you want to add? What are good things you should be doing and adding to your resume and adding to your experience while you are a student? It's never too early to start seeing Career Services and to start kind of getting experience throughout your 4 years at Worcester State. So we're here to help. We also not only assist students in finding things, we also host 8 work study students in our office. And right now we currently have 3 interns. So a variety of work that we help students learn some of those professional skills themselves. It's also a great way all of our students kind of get that inside track on employers, because as they work with our office, the students kind of get to see those jobs first and or talk to the employers on different levels. So definitely students have gotten some great contacts through our office for those type of things. Like I said, we're always around. We are still open, especially during this time. So some students do still come by and see us. And if not, then we're happy to schedule any appointments one-on-one whenever needed.
All right, great. So great. Thanks so much, Jill. This is also a good opportunity. If you do have any questions, if the students have any questions for our panelists, please feel free to send those over the chat. We will be, I know sometimes as each panelist goes, maybe a question might be sparked. And at the end after everyone speaks, we'll then go through and answer all of the questions that you have. So certainly feel free to utilize the chat feature to send those questions over. Next up, we'll have Lindsay Martinez from the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development.
Hey everyone, my name is Lindsay Martinez. I'm an assistant director in the office. I also serve a dual role as a campus's commuter services coordinator. So our office has a few different parts to it. We put on a lot of events. We manage our clubs and organizations. We support orientation and do a lot of leadership development. Our office does the events such as Family Day, a lot of weekend programming, trying to keep the students entertained and engaged throughout the year. Our clubs, we have a number of clubs that vary in interest. So anybody who finds an interest can join things like Student Senate, culturally specific clubs like our French Club and our Third World Alliance. We have hiking club. We just started a book club. There's a number of interests that you can join, and we offer opportunities that if there isn't something that you like, you're welcome to start something, and we work with you to do that, so that we just make sure we find a place for everybody in our office and on this campus. We coordinate and support our orientation program, including our orientation leaders. So we try to help the transition of students coming in and giving them friendly faces and a really good program to get to know WSU. And our leadership programs are something I think we're especially proud of. We have different leadership programs we offer throughout the year that I believe really help build a student's skill section on their resume. We really focus on strengths and natural talents and things that will help students succeed and just get the next opportunity. We have 3-tier leadership programs we do throughout the year. We just hosted our first leadership symposium last year, and we'll do things like our leadership getaways. So there's more than enough opportunity for students to get those experiences that will carry them into the next thing and support what they want to do in the future. In my role also as commuter service coordinator, I am kind of that go-to person for the commuters who just have any questions about being commuters on campus, whether it's kind of understanding what a commuter meal plan is or how to look for housing and providing those kind of resources. I'm that person that gets reached out to, along with putting on programs specifically for commuters on our campus, and advising our commuter activities board that also supports events that are just accessible to everyone, but mostly geared towards commuter students. Yeah, so our office is a lot of fun, but also we have a lot of really great things to offer students, and I hope that we get to see some of you into the next year.
Great, thanks so much, Lindsay. Next up, we'll have Fran Manacchio from Student Accessibility Services.
Thank you, Joe, and hello, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'll share briefly with you about Student Accessibility Services. I'm Fran Manacchio, and I'm an Assistant Dean in Student Affairs and Director of Student Accessibility Services. Our office is the office on campus for providing support and services and mostly accommodations for students who have conditions or disabilities that impact academics and/or life on campus. So if you currently have an IEP or a 504 plan or informal accommodations, we're the place to connect with. And I hope you'll do so through this admissions application and admissions process. Just 3 points that I'd like to make, and then I'm turning my portion of the time over to one of our student success stories, because I think you'll appreciate hearing from a student more than my spiel, which I'm happy to share, but at another time. One point is for those of you that have accommodations, those do not transfer directly from high school to college. College is a different environment, and there's a straightforward process to do that transition, but it's not an automatic process. Secondly, unlike high school, all of the documentation related to your disability or condition is confidential. So the faculty don't know the details of your personal story. They only know if you've been approved for accommodations. And third, as you can tell from my colleagues as well, all of us at Worcester State are committed to providing a supportive, welcoming environment. And so if you have concerns about supports in college, I'd encourage you not to worry about stigma. And I know Michael's going to speak a little bit to that, but certainly if accommodations have assisted you in the high school environment, then definitely connect with us in your transition to college. With COVID, pandemic, and all the changes, we've had a lot of contact with students, with faculty, being flexible and making sure accommodations are kept moving forward and that we support our students. So I hope that you'll connect with us. We have a terrific team of folks who work in our office. And at this point, I'm going to introduce you to Michael Kelly, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his situation and what inspired him to come to Worcester State in his role with Student Accessibility Services.
Okay, Fran, thank you so much for that. And to all the students here, we want to thank you so much for coming out here for this virtual open house. As Fran said, I'm Michael Kelly, and I'm a student at Worcester State University who is commuting to the university, and I'm majoring in communications. I think the choice about me choosing Worcester State was, well, it was a no-brainer because I wanted to be closer to home and everything. But also I did learn that their accessibility services was very well supportive for once I transferred over from Quinn Sigmund Community College, and they were able to carry some of the accommodations over from my time at Quinn Sig to by the time I enrolled in 2017. I think how I'm doing really well regarding to my accommodations. I mean, they're very well structured, and they're able to be helping me with my educational purposes. They're able to give me, I'm able to, some that I can mention about, some that I got extra time on tests. I've been able to be in a different room, just to avoid any any type of activity that can sort of get me a little bit distracted, especially coming from an individual with autism. It is difficult to stay focused on tests in particular when you're in the classroom, but it's better when you're in a different room. That way you're able to focus on that more and everything. So Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say my experience with SAS has been very good, and I'm really looking forward to having some of you guys feeling well accommodated to SAS when you enroll at Worcester State University.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael and Fran. Last but not least, Lakshmi from the Office of Multicultural Affairs.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lakshmi Bisunyal. I'm the Assistant Director and the AID Coordinator in the Office of Multicultural Affairs. So we house the university's Bridge Program and Access Program, also known as the Alternatives for Individual Development. So our number one aim is to support students who identify as first gen and or Alana students, which is an acronym for African American, Latinos, Asian, or Native American. Our students feel really great about their experience and association with the AID program, particularly because of the Summer Bridge Program experience, which prepares students over the 6 weeks over the summer before they come during their fall semester. So students have an opportunity to gain almost a semester's worth of credits that often place them in the lead for graduation, while also knowing that they have a whole team that delivers wraparound services on behalf of them for graduation, through graduation. So if you're interested, you can start off by checking yes on your Worcester State application, asking to be considered for the AID program. And then our journey begins together. Some of the other things that our office really is heavily involved with is we also advise the student organization that Lindsay mentioned, Their Word Alliance, and it focuses on multiculturalism, pluralism on campus and within the Worcester community through events like Multicultural Show, Fashion Show, and hosting national speakers like Cornel West, Angela Davis, economist Julian Malveaux, and many more. We've also taken students on concerts like to see Carlos Vives, Mark Anthony, and so many more. So I welcome you. I look forward to answering any questions, and I'm so thrilled that you are interested in Worcester State. I'm an alum, and I'm proud to say that my degree has served me very well, and I hope it will be your choice too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So hopefully that gives all of the students and families a good overview of just some of the support, some of the student offices that help to support our students here on campus. As you can see, Worcester State's a very caring and supportive community. We want to see our students succeed both inside and outside of the classrooms. We want to see them develop, and ultimately we want to help support them in achieving their goals. So hopefully you got that sense from our panelists this evening. So again, please feel free if you have questions for any of the panelists here to go ahead and send those over to the chat. What I might do is go ahead and get us kicked off with just one question. And I'm going to start with Lindsay. And if anyone else wants to chime in, please feel free. But I'm wondering, Lindsay, if you could just talk a little bit about, right now during COVID, we have a blend of students that are living on campus. Obviously, we have students that are commuting to campus. Some students are taking their classes online. Other students may have a blended or in-person schedule. Can you talk a little bit about, how we're keeping students engaged with the campus during the current pandemic environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking to have, while we have a blended schedule, a blended kind of offerings for our students throughout the year. We have student groups that are actively putting on in-person events, but also are making sure that they convert a lot of our most popular events to virtual events. Upcoming next month, I think we have a virtual bingo, and one of our student groups this week actually is looking to do a 2-part event to accommodate students in person and then an evening portion for students online. So there's no reason that anybody should be missing out. Same goes to some of our other offerings at this time. We're working to expand our leadership offerings for next semester and hopefully move that into the next year if needed, where we move into a hybrid style leadership program, which was a little challenging to do at first, but we're hopeful that we're going to have more to offer. We were able to do online orientation this semester where students who opted in still got that connection with a student leader and were able to learn as much as they can and see and hear a lot of voices of student staff and faculty that got them acclimated to the campus, even from a virtual setting. We didn't want to not develop that program knowing that it was a challenging situation. So right now it's just kind of blended the way classes are with us, and there will be more to come in that same kind of arena.
That's great. So it sounds like even though maybe the modality by which students are being engaged on campus, there's still been a really strong effort to have a continuity of experiences and activities for students so that they're still having that full, well-rounded, comprehensive college experience.
Absolutely. And many of our programs are ran by student groups. So our students themselves have been able to adapt to that modality to make sure they engage others as well.
Great, great. John, we have a question. Can you talk a little bit about how the Wellness Center is being used right now, and sort of what, obviously talk a little bit about what the current environment is. Now, we all hope that by next year, things will be able to resume some level of normalcy, but maybe you can also talk about, for future students that will be enrolling next fall, how they go about, is there a membership? Do students have access to the Wellness Center for free? Kind of some of those logistics.
Sure. No, absolutely. I was actually going to kind of follow up with Lindsay, because I think one of the approaches we've sort of taken with our current situation, I still remember that day in March when they said go home for a couple of weeks, and then we never came back, is that, this is a trying time. It's a trying time for everyone. But we're trying to look at it through the lens of, most sort of trying situations do create an opportunity. And so one of the things that we've done is lessons we've learned, through the summer and through the spring and through the summer. We started doing a lot of things virtually online. Our robust group exercise program became virtual exercise programs, and our sort of recreation side of the house, led by Dean Bowen and Brittany Rendy, created this really dynamic website that did everything from physical wellness to mental wellness. It was really a great resource that was created. So it's something that, while, when we do, when you folks begin here, hopefully in the fall or whenever you choose to start, hopefully we'll be in a more in-person mode. But we did realize that some of the lessons and program development that has occurred over the past 7-8 months is something that we'll be able to carry through. So that's sort of how we took an opportunistic look at things. Right now, the plan that got put in place, we are in the fitness center itself, really flying all cylinders right now in terms of how we're functioning. We have a capacity limit, which, given the time of day, we may run up against, but we have not gotten to a point in time that we need a reservation to go into the fitness center. There's a capacity, I think, of 30 people on the second floor, 40 people on the first floor. And we've created this very, very simple for the user, but thorough cleaning process, so that when someone uses a dumbbell, they're done with it. They go put it in a decontamination area, and we have multiple staff members that will attend to cleaning it and then returning it to its location. If someone's using a treadmill, they get off the treadmill. That treadmill is offline until it gets cleaned. So it's been quite a process. I think we've created a really safe environment for our users, and I think that's been reflected in how the students that are currently using it are approaching that space. In general, good times or bad, access to the fitness center and group exercise classes for enrolled students is at no charge. During normal times, our fitness center is open over 100 hours a week, 7 days a week. So there's a full opportunity. If you like to work out first thing in the morning, we're usually open at 6. If you like working out late at night, we close at 10. So it's a wide range of things. Folks use all sorts of space. Our open rec and our multi-purpose gym upstairs is constantly filled with primarily basketball. It tends to be the sport that kind of takes over that space. And then we also have our outdoor turf field and track where a lot of people recreate out there.
Great, thank you. Lakshmi, thanks for answering the question about the library. So library is accessible right now to students using their one card, and their hours are posted on their website. So and we have lots of different learning areas across campus for students as well. Study lounges, and obviously the Learning Resource Center where the library is. So basically in almost every building, you'll find a quiet nook to be able to study and utilize. John, another follow-up question around athletics. You want to talk a little bit about sort of the state currently of varsity competition and sort of what things might look like for the spring?
Sure. So if you've been following along, the state has given us different guidelines on how we can operate. And one of the things that I've really been impressed with in our sort of conference perspective is a lot of our decisions ultimately get handled by the Council of Presidents, which is the presidents of I think it's 9 state universities, 8 have athletics. So at this point in time, what happened this fall was we decided that we weren't going to have competition, intercollegiate competition, but we were able to, in a very modified manner, allow fall teams to practice. So all our teams right now are practicing 3 times a week, 90 minutes at a time. And the sports are very modified. The best example I can give you probably is, a quarterback cannot hand off a football to a running back in practice, which is a pretty normal activity in the sport of football. But that just gives you an idea of how we're keeping everyone socially distanced as best as possible. Everyone's wearing masks while they're practicing. Again, it's not a conducive thing, but what we wanted to do was give our students an experience. And while, wins and losses on the field are very important to a lot of our students, the things that they're going to remember at the end of the day are their teammates and practices and the bonds that are going to come out of being members of the team. So we've been able to, I think, execute that to this point. About a month ago, the decision was made that winter sports, which are 3 of the 4 considered high risk, we're not going to have competitions in the fall semester. Their practices actually begin Monday, and they're going to practice through reading day. Same sort of model, 3 times a week. And then in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably get a decision about whether or not winter sports are going to compete in the spring semester in their traditional format. At the same time, I think the question also refers to fall sports. One of the things that's not off the table is fall sports, playing intercollegiate competitions in the spring semester. One of the interesting things that's been going on with this process is you build a plan, something changes, you throw it out. You build another plan, something else changes, you throw it out. So we're on plan about 13 or 14 right now. But what we do have is a plan, and we're able to adjust the time. So if circumstances allow us to be aggressive and play, we want to be aggressive. We want these kids to get their college experience. A lot of our students do come with sports being a second factor in why they chose Worcester State, and we'd like to give them as much an experience as possible. So that's where it is right now. Spring sports still have plenty of time for their decision to be made. So we're hopeful that circumstances will allow, with the health and safety of our athletes at the forefront of our decision, that we'll be able to provide some intercollegiate experience once we get into more likely February and March and beyond.
Great, thank you. Fran, I'm going to toss the next question to you from Victoria. She wants to know if classes are going to be both online and in person next year. And I know what your answer is going to be, because we would likely have the same answer, right? But then maybe I'm hoping Michael can kind of just maybe share a little bit about what his experience has been like this semester. I mean, I guess, Michael, you do share some similarities with current college and high school students in terms of them experiencing their classes, both maybe in person, blended, or online. So maybe after Fran talks about sort of what next year may look like, she's going to take out that crystal ball and sort of get an idea. Maybe Michael, you can kind of just talk about what your experience has been with your classes this past fall.
Great, thanks, Joe. So the answer is not, there's an aspirational answer, and then there's the uncertain. So the aspirational answer, Victoria, is that all of us at Worcester State would like to think that by fall of 2021, we might be back to more presence on campus. But no one has a crystal ball to make that happen. We've had a mixed For this semester, about 25% of our courses have been conducted face-to-face, and 75% either blended, which is a combination of online and some face-to-face, or totally online. The plan for the spring semester is similar model as the fall semester. So some percentage of classes that are face-to-face, some percentage that are fully online, and some percentage that are blended, part face-to-face, part online. Some of the classes that are face-to-face are classes that just don't lend themselves to online experience. For example, we have classes at the Worcester Craft Center. So drawing, sculpture, painting, some of those classes are really conducive to being in a safe setting classroom. And there's others. On the other hand, there's classes that you might think could never be online, but the entire math department is doing all of their classes online. There's no face-to-face math courses. So it's a mix. The academic affairs department is going through course by course, department by department, and trying to make the best decisions possible. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Michael, who can share the student experience.
Okay, thanks, Fran. And that was actually a good question, Victoria. I will say that again. I think what I could say from my experience of being, kind of online and sort of like blended and everything, it is a bit difficult because I think it was kind of difficult for me at first because, I'm like going to classes through my laptop. So like mostly at home the whole time. I think the only thing I can understand from the whole blended experience, I was only on campus for like 1 day so far throughout the whole semester. And of course, masks on, we kept our distance and everything. We were just following good guidelines. I think what I could say the experience is a bit difficult if you're having like a blended or you're going online when there's some classes that can obviously have blended courses and everything. But I think once you kind of like get into that kind of routine of like, you figure out what time your class is going to be, you figure out how long it's going to be, you kind of stick to that kind of routine afterwards, and then you kind of go along with it. I mean, it does get tough at first, but once you get in that routine, it does get a lot better.
That's great. Thank you. Hopefully that was helpful. I think it definitely was. I have a question for Jillian. Jillian, so we think a lot of students, correlate career services with internships, with career preparation, job interview skills, resume writing. But what are some ways that first-year students or students that are new to the university, either as a first-year student or as a transfer student, might get engaged with career services? And sort of what are the benefits of getting involved with career services earlier in your college education than sort of towards the tail end when you're sort of maybe more focused on applying for jobs or graduate schools?
Sure. A lot of students early on will come in because they're just not sure what can they do with a major, right? They picked a major coming in. Maybe it's one somebody from myself personally was like, you'll be a great teacher. And I was like, okay, well then I'm going to school for teaching. And then I got into the programs and realized maybe this isn't exactly for me. So I visited the career services office myself and fell in love, but then also got a lot of great guidance about what I would be good at. So we do some like self-assessments similar to maybe what you've done in high school with like Myers-Briggs or like self-directed searches to try to match like skill sets and what do you really see yourself doing for 8-10 hours a day, or do you are you able to sit in a chair at a desk, or do you want to be moving around? So really trying to look at what your skills are, your interests, your values, and then just kind of your personality in with that mix. We often spend more time at work than we do at home. So it's really trying to get that balance as well and seeing what places can overlap, or sometimes the passion for what you want can turn that major into the academic classes into a job you've created. There are jobs today that were not around last year. And that will continue as the years grow. There's some jobs that, you know, unfortunately do fall by the wayside, but then there's more and more that are created every day. So I think that's also an area we explore with students, some new jobs and technology and things that are happening. We also really go into different areas that students might not think of. We often joke in our office that insurance is that dirty word, because often students are like, I don't want to work for insurance, or retail, right? They think it's the piece that they've seen. Like when they go into a Target or a Walmart, they're thinking that, not the back side, the financial side, the HR side, the business side, the people behind the scenes that are often doing things. So we will explore a lot of different majors, a lot of different things and combinations. Often students, because you need to get 120 credits to graduate. So often students are looking for something, for that other focus. So what are some good combinations to put together? Whether it's psychology and women's studies, or whether that's, you know, sociology and business, what are some good combinations together? And, or if a student comes in and says, you know, I really love history, but I have no idea what I could do with that. So we really help them explore different areas of opportunity. We often use like the Better Business Bureau in the sense for students to look at different jobs and different aspects. Because not everyone, you know, we would love it if you all stayed in Worcester, but not everyone wants to, right? Some want to explore the world or travel. And how can you get some of those jobs and still travel and make enough money to support yourself traveling? So we definitely kind of go down that route as well with students and talk about other options and things you can do. A lot of it too with students is through our programming. So we have various workshops and events throughout each semesters. We do many job fairs. We bring a lot of employers on campus, both virtually and physically, to share with students experiences, to do practice interviews, to really prepare the students to get going. I often have seniors that come into our office that always leave saying, I wish I came in sooner. And I think a lot of that is because we all think we're great, and that, yeah, I got this interview, no problem. I know myself. But then when you're really asking someone those questions and having them sit down in that pressure situation, it's a little harder than you thought. And to talk about yourself in a professional way is a little more difficult than most of us do on an everyday basis. So really kind of guiding students in that light as well.
Great, that's very helpful. Thank you. Lakshmi, I have a question for you. So we talk about college being a transformational experience for students. And so I'm wondering if you could share, not only from your perspective as being a Worcester State graduate, but maybe some experiences that you've seen in working with Worcester State students, just how maybe a fun example or a student that's really stood out for you, who you met as a first year student or a new student to Worcester State, and you really saw them take advantage of a lot of the opportunities that were available to them and really sort of transform. They graduated a completely different person from who they were when they first entered the university. And what are some sort of characteristics of being a student at Worcester State that would help to support that?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I was hoping I was going to get an easy question, but this one is fun. I have to tell you, the best part of working at Worcester State and being at Worcester State are the students. And I think everybody on this panel will certainly agree with that. I can tell you one of my favorite examples is Angela Zapata. So Angela Zapata came into Worcester State. She is an alum now. And when she graduated, her major was chemistry. And so when she first came in, it was not originally chemistry. I forget, I think she was undeclared and slowly took classes to expose herself and to gain momentum and interest. And her sister also came here as well. They were known as the Zapata sisters. And so basically, being first gen, navigating her way through the system was somewhat ease and somewhat difficult in a sense of, you know, she had to kind of work her way through some of those courses that were like chemistry, calculus, and prepare herself for the next level. And so I watched her transformation, not only academically and through her skills of knowing multiple languages, Spanish and English, and working her way through math and sciences, to then go on to WPI, then go on to California, and then go on to become an employee of NASA. So she worked with a group of students to be able to send a small robot in one of the shuttles. And off the top of my head, I don't remember the name of the shuttle, but the robot was live and it walked on the moon. So, I mean, this was an alum from Worcester State, you know, who started out, who did not have the confidence, so to speak, in her English language skills, in her math skills, and then perfected it and moved on to work for NASA. And so to this day, always kind of checks back in with us and lets us know how she's doing. A recent example is someone by the name of Manasseh Konadu. And so he was a student trustee here, and now he is the first one. We have many articulation agreements at Worcester State. So you come in and you could possibly do 3 years at Worcester State and then do 1 year at the law school at UMass Boston. And that's where he's at right now. It's an articulation agreement that allows you to be able to get your JD. And so he's currently in that program and is the first person to be a participant of that program. So he actually is now working with a firm downtown Worcester, but also had an opportunity to work with the district attorney's office in Worcester, and also in a specific law program training in Boston. So I think about him in terms of being able to transform his desires and his aspirations and networking, because, you know, following Jillian's comments, you know, we always think that sometimes the process of securing a degree is for credentializing, and it's so much more than that. So I hope I answered your question.
You did, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. And I think, you know, that just is that does such a great job to not only, I think, speak about the opportunities that are available to students, the faculty and staff that are there to support students, but I think most importantly, it speaks to our students and how they really do take full advantage of the Worcester State experience to get the most out of it. Our students are incredibly motivated and incredibly hardworking, and they make things happen for themselves. And so I think that speaks very, very much to not only the Worcester State education, but just also to the types of students that come to Worcester State. So hopefully for our families and students that listen to everyone's comments tonight, they helped learn a little bit more about what our university has to offer, both in terms of academic programming, but also in terms of student support as well. So I want to thank everyone. We do have some time to take some additional questions, but I also recognize that it's probably been a really long day for everyone. So I think my panelists will agree to stick around maybe if anyone has some one-off questions that they want to ask, but at this point, it might be a good time to thank everyone for participating and for attending tonight. And so any family members that had a really great time, but they've had enough of being on the computer today, we would certainly thank you for coming. And please be in touch with our office if you have any additional questions that we can help you out with. You're welcome to exit out of the meeting, but if there are any students or family members that want to stick around and ask the panelists some remaining questions, I'm happy to keep the meeting open for that. So thanks very much to everyone, to our panelists, but also to the students and family members that attended tonight. We hope you enjoyed our program, and we certainly hope and look forward to receiving your application and helping you through the admissions process. So thank you, and again, we'll keep the meeting open for any last minute questions.